Welcome everyone to the 136 Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs aspects, and if birth times are available, house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us weekly, and let's get right into this one. Starting off with the sun, we have Nicole's sun in Gemini and Ewan's sun in Aries. They both have low tolerance for boredom. They're in the right industry then, I imagine. They both enjoy their independence in this relationship, and Ewan gets impatient with Nicole's talkativeness. Ewan should listen to Nicole for her perspective, and Nicole needs to learn not to depend on Ewan for constant conversation. Okay. Nicole's sun overlaid in Ewan's 9th house. They teach the other, which I assume already we're seeing potentially with Ewan learning from Nicole if he is open to that. It's a great and enduring friendship, which I feel like matches with how we just saw how they both enjoy the independence in the relationship. It's a relationship of mental stimulation, and they both influence the other to be more culturally aware. They both share similar views. Ewan's sun overlaid in Nicole's 6th house. They are productive together, and Ewan is submissive. I guess I don't know, because I feel like they're both, in status-wise, they're both fairly similar, so I don't know in what way this would be. Work is a strong theme here. I mean, they're colleagues, so obviously so, and it's a boss-assistant relationship. Nicole's sun sextile Ewan's Mercury. They have similar interests, and it's an intellectual friendship. Yeah, I mean, we saw they both share similar views. I think it is in terms of career and stuff. We did see Ewan should listen to Nicole for her perspective, but I mean, that's everyone has their own perspectives and everything. So far, very reasonable colleague dynamic, I think. They're able to work together and they like to talk to each other. It seems like Nicole more so, potentially. They're relaxed around each other, and Nicole wants to improve Ewan. That's an interesting element to add into Ewan should be listening to Nicole for her perspective. Maybe there was something, I don't know, in terms of acting experience. I'm not sure how old they were when both of them got into their industry. Because potentially, maybe, I don't know, Nicole got it a bit earlier, so she has a bit more experience, and that is where Ewan should be listening to her for perspective, and potentially Nicole wants to improve Ewan's acting skills or something like that. Nicole values Ewan's intelligence. Nicole's sun, Trine Ewan's Venus. There's mutual attraction and they both value each other. It's a harmonious relationship and they are financially lucky people. I mean, both their projects and as individuals, they are very lucky financially. They both share common interests and they accept and tolerate each other. Ewan finds Nicole charming and intriguing, and Ewan is willing to do anything to please Nicole, which potentially is where you could see, because we did see he's a bit more submissive. Maybe in this way he tends to put Nicole on a pedestal potentially. Nicole feels more loving and beautiful around Ewan. Nicole's sun square Ewan's Pluto. It's love-hate and there's a strong magnetic connection. It's transformative and they both trigger the other's deepest issues, okay? There are power struggles. I mean, the only way I could see power struggles so far, Ewan in this relationship is leaning towards being the more submissive one, but obviously traditionally so, and around the time I believe they would have started meeting, even now today in society, men tend to hold a bit more power than women. So I wonder if maybe that is at play in terms of power struggles, but hopefully we'll see a bit more. They both need to learn not to focus on their ego, not surprisingly so, as actors and everything, very successful individuals. It's hard to remain just friends after. I wonder, because I don't think these two are quite as of a famous colleague dynamic as some other people, especially ones we've covered on this channel before. So I wonder if this is a colleague dynamic where they are really good when they're working on projects together, but outside of that, they're not necessarily keeping super strong contact. It is just, when they're together, they are friends. Outside of that, they're not necessarily maintaining that contact, if that makes sense. They both want to be dominant and they want to learn everything about the other. possibility to encourage the other's negative qualities. The only thing we've really seen is like potentially Nicole's talkativeness, and it seems like Ewan is willing to do anything for her, but outside of that, that is leaning towards like, that sort of gray area of negative quality though. Otherwise, we haven't seen anything. Hopefully we'll see a bit more maybe. There's a possibility of an unhealthy obsession with the other. I mean, if anyone, it seems to be on Ewan's side, but again, like not really strongly. So it's in that gray area. They both experience emotions they never felt before in a relationship. Ewan's sun trine Nicole's moon. There is honest communication and Ewan relies on Nicole's support. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know, Nicole has something on Ewan that he doesn't necessarily have, like potentially experience or something where she seems to be helping him and supporting him more intellectually so. Nicole relies on Ewan's wisdom and they both feel they can rely on each other. It's a naturally cooperative relationship and Nicole tends to be dependent on Ewan. From what we have seen, it seems to be more in like an intellectual way in terms of like conversation and stuff like that. But we did see she needs to learn not to depend on Ewan for that. It could just be something in her nature, like she's just a naturally conversant person and she tends to be dependent on that on everyone, including Ewan, but it just is a learning curve for her. Ewan's not necessarily the one to depend on that for, if that makes sense. Ewan's sun trine Nicole's Venus. This is a repeated aspect, just inverted. So everything from before is further emphasized, but also Nicole is willing to do anything to please Ewan, and Nicole finds Ewan charming and intriguing, and Ewan feels more loving and beautiful around Nicole. This might be a different take. I'm not sure. I should have looked at the timeline, particularly with Ewan, because I wonder, because we're seeing these like they both like willing to do anything for each other. They both feel a lot more attractive around the other. And we did say it's hard to remain just friends after. I wonder because the time, my reference for these two and like their work together is Moulin Rouge. And I don't know, there is a weird timeline from what I'm going off of in my head from my memory. I think that was in between like Nicole Kidman's divorce with Tom Cruise and also her marriage now. I think that was around that time. And I wonder if maybe she was available during that time and maybe Ewan was as well. And maybe, I don't know, something happened a bit like during filming or something like that, because there does seem to be like attraction. So I wonder if we will see more. Just wanted to throw that out there, like, because I was kind of like going into this colleague dynamic, but hold on, there potentially was a window while they were filming to have that potential. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, there could be potential for that either way, but there is, a bit more stronger like reason to think, hey, they could have had something going on. Hopefully that all made sense. Ewan's sun trine Nicole's Jupiter. They will overdo together and they're good travel companions. I wonder if they actually traveled to France for Moulin Rouge. That could be a thing. Or like in any other project they could have done together. There's possibility of unpredictability. I mean, yeah, the whole show business of acting and like when they're doing things. Potentially like even with casting, maybe there was some issue when this whole, relationship that they have is unpredictable. Nicole boosts Ewan's self-confidence. I mean, not surprisingly so. They both desire to make each other happy and positive mutual respect will be maintained if they separate. The impression I'm getting is like when they're working together, they're good, but outside of that, they're not necessarily going out of their way to maintain strong contact. Nicole gives Ewan the benefit of the doubt frequently, which I think lines up. She seems to have like a soft approach of trying to help him. It's not like, I feel like in some other readings we've covered, there is like a very strong, I need to help you, I need to make you perfect in a way. But with this, I just feel like it's like a soft, I just want to help him out. Ewan's sun conjunct Nicole's Saturn. Ewan is resentful of Nicole. Oh, it was such a nice reading and now we've taken the U-turn. They need to make time for fun and they can overcome obstacles together. The relationship strengthens over the years and they are able to depend on each other. That we're seeing again nicely. They both feel they can have a stable relationship and Nicole needs to learn to stop being so critical Again, I feel like this could just be her, like, there is an element with Nicole of trying to help out Ewan. It seems like, yes, in a bit more gentle way, but like potentially she's just trying to like very fixated on supporting him and like everything. She's like, oh, you could do, this better and all of that. And that could come off as being a bit too critical. Nicole can be threatened by Ewan's individuality. Oh no, ugh. That's not great, because maybe if that's like her motive for trying to help him, and in that way, like kind of not really helping him, that's not great. Nicole has a tendency to repress Ewan. Okay, this has taken a weird turn I don't like. Ewan's vitality diminishes after being with Nicole. That's not great. I wonder if like on Ewan's end, it is just like that power dynamic thing. Like he genuinely, I don't know, just becomes a bit more submissive around Nicole. Ewan needs to learn to stop being so sensitive to criticism. Now for the intermission, this video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry chart readings on my Etsy store. I do both basic and detailed ones. The basic ones are a bit more simple to understand and really good for those just beginning out in astrology, getting their heads around it, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed readings are very similar to what I do here, so it's a lot of it just with my insights and interpretation on the chart. So if you're interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot, readings and gifts, definitely check out my Etsy store for that. I'm always releasing new other things there as well. And you can even just favorite the store just to support me for free. Thank you for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for moon. We have Nicole's moon in Sagittarius and Ewan's moon in Gemini. These are sister polarity signs, also mutable signs. They love traveling together. We're seeing again the good travel companion thing. They prioritize their freedom and they have similar emotional needs. They have a satisfying friendship and an intellectual relationship. Nicole is more optimistic than Ewan and they share a love for books and movies. Nicole's moon overlaid in Ewan's third house. It's cooperative and friendly, and Nicole admires Ewan's lifestyle, which I'm not sure what this could be. It could literally be anything outside of the whole acting sphere. Maybe it is a way he approaches acting or like his relationship with acting, because there are some actors that obviously we go above and beyond, but some actors, do treat it as like a day job and everything. So it could be the approach like that, or it could be literally anything outside of acting that is there though. Nicole is supportive of Ewan's priorities and Ewan enjoys Nicole's company. Ewan thinks of Nicole often and they don't irritate each other. It's relaxed and productive and they communicate well. I'm liking okay, there's a bit, hiccups here, we did just see. But overall, it seems like, they are like quite respectful of each other. It seems like they have allowed the other to have their independence, not very forceful here. We did see the whole repressing thing, but that's a bit. Ewan's moon overlaid in Nicole's 8th house. Nicole can go deep into Ewan's psyche. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Ewan seems to change around Nicole, because we did see the whole submissive thing, and I don't know how he is with other people, obviously, but it seems like a different thing here. If, this is going deep into his psyche that Nicole is specifically doing, it's like he changes around her. There's a deep connection and Nicole can awaken Ewan's inner demons. Ewan will desire things in this relationship that are taboo, and they both act out fantasies together. I mean, quite literally, they are actors. You could also see this as I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but from my memory of Moulin Rouge, Ewan's character did have a similar thing where he was a bit more submissive in a way for Nicole's character. He was a bit of in modern terms, for a better words, a simp, and I don't want to say doormat, but that sort of, more submissive character for Nicole. So I wonder if maybe their dynamic, their sort of tension was brought into the movie, and in that way they acted out their fantasies together. Because again, I'm not sure, because there is a bit of iffiness in my memory in terms of the timeline of Nicole's marriages and this movie they filmed. They probably did other ones as well that I don't remember, but there's a bit of iffiness in that timeline of things. So potentially, either if Nicole was married, if Ewan was married or in some kind of relationship, potentially they took out that tension into the movie together, acting out their fantasies together. It's an emotionally nurturing relationship, which we did see they have similar emotional needs. So it seems like because of that, they're able to have that emotional nurturing here. Desire for the other is never satiated, and there's a possibility for them to come back together after a separation. I mean, again, like, it's from what the notes we're seeing, it seems like, I'm repeating myself. They are, they do come back together and can have that respect, for each other as like colleagues, where they're not necessarily like smothering each other. They'll try to be besties outside of filming, but they're able to, once they're together, they're able to be good. Their moons are opposite to each other, so they have contrasting emotional needs. I wonder in what way, potentially in some different way there might be. They're strongly attracted to each other, not surprisingly so. Excellent communication is needed, and it's difficult to be in sync. I assume this would be like a sort of timing issue, because we've seen like separation can occur and like respect for each other like will always be there, like they will be remained if they separate. So it seems like separation does occur, and the difficulty to be in sync is like difficulty to be like present with each other. Certain habits will be unbearable for the other, which I think the obvious one is like Nicole's talkativeness for Ewan. Nicole's moon conjunct Ewan's Jupiter. It is easy to overdo and be excessive, and they have positive influence as a couple. It's a relationship of opportunities and fortune, and they need to learn balance. They take risks as a couple. So I wonder, because going back to how we saw like it's a relationship of unpredictability, I wonder if maybe like neither of them were expecting to work on the projects they do together, and it was a bit of a risk. Particularly Moulin Rouge, I imagine, a bit more of like a, I don't want to say scandalous movie, but like, it's a bit of like in that territory. Particularly with Ewan, from what I know from his work, he has very more like family friendly films. He's like a very lovable, wholesome, more character. So for him to go into a movie like this could have been a risk for him. Nicole feels luckier and more adventurous around Ewan, and Ewan expands Nicole's thinking. And Ewan expands Nicole's way of thinking about life. So it's nice that they seem to share different perspectives together. They're able to do that for the other. They support people in need. Nicole's moon sextile Ewan's Uranus. It's not a boring relationship, and they share common eccentric friends. They talk about social and political issues, and mutual friends may bring them together. Nicole creates a loving environment for Ewan. Yeah, like for the most part, like I think the whole criticism thing might be a bit, it seems to be coming from a good place, but just comes off not the greatest. Ewan's moon is sextile Nicole's Venus. Shared social life is important, and Ewan feels Nicole will always be there for him. Ewan has a desire to have a family with Nicole. I am so curious in terms of like timeline and everything, because like I wouldn't be shocked if like something happened with these two, because from what we're seeing, they seem to like really like each other and everything, and like very respectful of the other. I want to look into it, like when they met and everything, like, because technically speaking, like, yes, they technically don't have to be like single available people for something to happen, but at the same time, just like following everything, if they were both like single at the time and, very strongly attracted to each other, we're seeing that Ewan has this desire to have a family with Nicole. Like, I'm just curious if something actually did happen, because that would be interesting. Like, I wouldn't be shocked, They care for each other in difficult emotional circumstances, and Nicole brings beauty to Ewan's life. I feel like that was some kind of line in Moulin Rouge. Like, from my memory watching it a long time ago, I wouldn't be shocked. I feel like that was a line like, Nicole's character brings beauty to Ewan's character's life. They might be too accommodating to each other, and they enjoy creating a nice home environment. Ewan's moon, Trine Nicole's Mars. They're instinctively drawn to each other and there's mutual attraction. It's a lively relationship and arguing is not uncommon. E1 nurtures and feeds into Nicole's ego, not really surprisingly so. Nicole teaches E1 to be brave and confident. I really hope so. Like, I hope like he can get something out of like Nicole's, I want to say like criticism, a bit more harsher side, you could say, like with her criticism and everything. But also considering that E1 is a bit more like, I don't know, submissive, like it is nice that she's hopefully helping him, you know, get more like confidence within himself and not being like a full-on doormat, you know. They both learn about their instincts and needs here, and expressing feelings is spontaneous here. Nicole's moon is square E1's Uranus. E1 is possessive of Nicole, not surprisingly so. Again, I'm thinking of the movie Moulin Rouge, but at the same time, like, he seems to be quite dedicated to her, so I can't be like, you know, this wouldn't happen, because it seems to be leaning towards that way. Relationship can begin suddenly, and E1 feels emotionally insecure around Nicole, okay? Because we did see, like, yeah, we did see both, like, sharing emotional needs and everything, but we did see opposite emotionally. So potentially, like, they, you know, in some ways they have that sameness, but it seems like on E1's end, there is a bit of that insecurity and contrast compared to Nicole, if that makes sense. E1's moon is square Nicole's Pluto. Jealousy and emotional manipulation is underlying, and Nicole can sense E1's unconscious needs and manipulates him with it. We did see a bit of iffiness on Nicole's end earlier, didn't we? Nicole tends to be controlling of E1, which, yeah, it goes back to how we did see, I think it was like she represses his identity and all of that, which kind of adds it, and it's not a great thing. They both need to let go of the idea that love only exists with control, which I imagine, like, following my made-up timeline in my head, honestly, like, from the facts I know at the top of my head, I wonder if maybe, like, because this, I'm pretty sure Moulin Rouge happened, like, after the whole Tom Cruise relationship. I wonder if maybe, like, on Nicole's end, you know, that whole thing being very controlling and all of that, allegedly rumored to be, I wonder if maybe, I don't know, Nicole went, like, the other direction and she became controlling herself, you know? They both need to work for power struggles, and they both may need to work for psychological demons. Not surprisingly so, particularly on Nicole's part, if this did, you know, all happen after the whole Tom Cruise thing. Projection is a challenge, and there's deep emotional transformation. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Nicole's Mercury in Cancer and E1's Mercury in Aries. These are both cardinal signs. Nicole finds E1 egotistical. In what way? Like, we did see there are power struggles, both want to be dominant. That is the only way. I'm like, maybe there is something to this. I'm curious if there will be more as we go on. E1 can be too brash for Nicole. Oh, maybe it is like he's a bit, I don't know, coming on too strong, maybe? Nicole can be a buzzkill for E1, and they learn from each other. E1 gets impatient with Nicole. I imagine in terms of like conversation, maybe he is just someone that tends to get like impatient and lose his patience with people, maybe. Like in terms of if someone is like going on too much, maybe he's just someone very like quick to the point compared to Nicole, who doesn't seem to be like that communication-wise. Nicole's Mercury overlaid in E1's 10th house. Hard to talk about things outside of goals and career, and E1 may be fascinated by Nicole. I wonder, this might be a weird take. I'm just like I'm trying to like, you know, theorize here, because this is very interesting in terms of like timeline-wise. Like, I feel like something could have potentially happened here. But now my brain is going to, because I feel like these two, like career seems to be like a thing for these two. Like they seem to work well together. Like I do see the colleague dynamic. There is just a lot of that like mutual attraction. They both seem to be very into each other and everything. And now we're seeing like there's some similarities between like the characters they have in Moulin Rouge and like their, you know, real life personas, you could say, as actors. I wonder maybe like if this was a thing where maybe they fell in love as colleagues and like in a weird way like got too invested in themselves as actors, and that maybe like bled into like their personal lives, if that makes sense, because there's some of those similarities, and I'm like, something seems like it happened here more than colleagues and friends, you know? They're a public couple and Ewan tends to idolize Nicole. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, from what I remember about Moulin Rouge, this seems to be matching a lot with those two as well. It's a possibly one-sided relationship and they may like to work together. Ewan's Mercury overlaid in Nicole's 6th house. Ewan's mind is stable around Nicole and Ewan communicates with Nicole practically. Nicole thinks that Ewan is reliable, which we did see, like they do find each other reliable and dependable, so that's there. Nicole sees Ewan as a stable companion. I mean, first of all, going back to the movie, take a shot every time I say this is just like Moulin Rouge. It's going to be very embarrassing if I don't. I'm just going off of my like old memories. So hopefully I'm remembering correctly and recalling correctly. But not only that, but we did also see, this is kind of reciprocating with Ewan, how he feels like he can have a family with Nicole or wants to have one with Nicole. And now we're seeing Nicole sees Ewan as a stable companion. I wouldn't be shocked if something more than like colleague friends happened here. Because I see that side of things, but there are also these little things of like, they see each other as like reliable, stable companions. Whenever family, there's a strong attraction, it seems like. And it's in a way where it's like, it's more than like, oh, they're just like really good looking people, like appreciating each other, you know, and like, oh, they're just attracted to each other. It seems to be a bit more than that, you know. Nicole's Mercury sextile Ewan's Saturn. Ewan helps Nicole focus and they solve problems together. Nicole feels she can learn a lot from Ewan, so again, the whole learning thing with these two is being repeated. They have dry conversations and it's a good business partnership. Ewan's Mercury square Nicole's Jupiter. It's a relationship that expands consciousness. Nicole helps Ewan go through hard times with optimism and promising more is a problem. I wonder if it literally was, I don't know, like having a relationship outside of like colleagues. Like that's where my brain is going to, but there's a habit of interrupting and Nicole is frustrated with Ewan's analytical approach to life. Okay, so I wonder, because we did see earlier how like Nicole admires his lifestyle. Potentially it is something maybe she admires with Ewan that he does, but like also can tend to be frustrated. It's like my brain is going to like, the thing you start loving about someone is what you end up hating about someone. I wonder if it's that kind of dynamic. Or it could simply be maybe Nicole actually thinking through what Ewan would be like as a stable companion and then be like, probably not for me, it would frustrate me. Nicole may come off as holier than thou. I'm not surprised because, you know, like, you know, overall these two seem to be like, I don't want, like, yeah, healthy individuals. We can use that. But then Nicole does have her flaws that are a bit, you know, a bit more on the toxic side of things. Lack of understanding regarding each other's ideas, and there are communication difficulties. There's a strong mental and intellectual bond, and there's frequent misunderstandings. Debates can turn into arguments, and they have different philosophical views. So I guess a lot of reasons why maybe they didn't like stick it out for, I don't want to say as long as they did, because it seems like they are able to like be good colleagues and like when they're on a movie, they get along, it's fine. But I guess like in terms of like glue, like long consistent glue, you could say. So now it's time for Venus. We have Nicole's Venus in Leo and Ewan's Venus in Pisces. They are generous with each other and they are hopeless romantics. That could be like another thing with these two. Potentially they could just have that personality, like, you know, being hopeless romantics and, you know, they just found each other and, you know, it's kind of working for them in the moment, if that makes sense. Because if one of them was that way and the other was not, I don't think there would be the same dynamic of like, oh, maybe, you know, we could be together. We're so attracted to each other, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, Ewan doesn't give Nicole the devotion she wants. The only way this could be, because it seems like he is quite devoted to her, unless it is a situation where like he is devoted to her, but maybe he's not like as on display with it. Or because we did see Nicole is a bit, I don't know, there's that weird controlling weirdness with her. You know, we did see a couple notes of that. Maybe it's just not enough for her. That's the only two ways I could see this. Nicole is flattered by Ewan's dependency. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that because it's there. Like, she seems to like having a bit more control, and E1 seems to be a bit more submissive here. E1 gets easily hurt by Nicole, and not surprisingly so. Like, Nicole wants E1 to be more honest. Nicole's Venus overlaid in E1's 10th house. Work is their focus and they work well together. Nicole sees E1 as someone that can help her improve her status. I mean, sure. Like, I'm pretty sure they both are quite similar in terms of like status and like even in like the same time era, because it's not a situation where like they're both successful but one had their success earlier than the other. Like, they both came up around the same time. They were both, pretty, I think, at the same sort of level. E1 sees Nicole as having talent in areas he lacks, and areas of expertise complement each other, which we did see how like E1 tends to be a bit more analytical, so I imagine in that way. They respect each other's strengths and skills, and it's a productive and profitable relationship. They both want to be the boss. E1's Venus overlaid in Nicole's 4th house. E1 feels the need to protect himself from Nicole. I would kind of be into it, like kind of love it, because in terms of like, we saw E1's a bit more analytical, and we have been seeing traits from Nicole that are not the best, a bit more like controlling or pressing of E1. I would kind of be really obsessed with it if like these two didn't work out, because E1 kind of saw maybe this wasn't the best for him. If that makes sense. Like, I would be kind of like into it if like E1 kind of saw maybe, if I continue with this, my vitality is going to continue diminishing. I'm going to continue to be repressed and like pushed into submission essentially. I would, like, that's not the best thing to be, like, into, but I think it is healthy that is how things ended. Like, it is just a thing of, like, this just wasn't going to work out and be healthy in the long term, so let's not do it. I would be kind of into that, I'm not gonna lie. E1 has a strong attraction to Nicole, and Nicole senses E1's hesitancy. Oh, that does hurt though. There's a strong magnetism, and uncertainty and tension characterizes the relationship. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I'm very curious to see if these were like people were actually together or not, because like there definitely is some tension, whether it was kind of like real, like went past a bit, friends and colleagues, or it could have been a situation they used the tension for the movie. Nicole's Venus square E1 Saturn. E1 is critical and demanding of Nicole. That's, not great. Nicole eventually withholds affection from E1. That could also be why things, I guess, deteriorated and why it didn't last like super long and consistent, But potentially it could have been Nicole senses E1's hesitancy, so she withdrew. Nicole sees E1 as unsympathetic, and E1 sees Nicole as childish and undisciplined. Criticism is rooted from jealousy, which we have been seeing Nicole being a bit more critical of E1. And we did see how Nicole feels a bit threatened by E1's individuality. So I wonder if this is what that is referring to. Nicole's Venus sextile E1's Uranus. E1 likes to keep the relationship exciting, and they share unusual interests. They're an unconventional couple, and Nicole is drawn to E1's unique qualities. E1 feels appreciated by Nicole, and E1 finds Nicole charming and attractive, which I think we're seeing again. So now it's time for Mars. We have Nicole's Mars in Libra and E1's Mars in Capricorn. These are both cardinal signs. It's a low-key relationship. Like, honestly, if these were like actually a thing, I think it is low-key, because like, I mean, maybe I'm living under a rock, but I've never heard of like anything like, even insinuating that these two were like together or had some like, romance or anything like that. So, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, low-key for sure. E1 gets irritated with Nicole, and E1 wants to be in control here. He wants to be, I don't know if this is the relationship for that, which is why he could have stepped away, because it seems like, fortunately or unfortunately, Nicole seems to hold a bit more power here. They feel responsible for each other. Nicole's Mars overlaid in E1's first house. Nicole inspires E1 to be more brave, which I think we did see earlier, like she helps him be more brave and confident. So that's a nice thing to be repeated. Nicole encourages Ewan to be proud of who he is, which we did just see, like she appreciates his more unique qualities, so that's there again. Nicole is blunt with Ewan, and Ewan has a desire to seduce Nicole. Well, in the movie. Again, I'm gonna mention that, but also, like, it seems like there is, like, strong attraction to Nicole, so it's not shocking. Ewan's Mars overlaid in Nicole's 3rd house. Ewan is more blunt with Nicole, and Nicole may intimidate Ewan. Not really surprisingly so. Like, it seems like, I don't want to say he's, like, cowering around her, but, like, obviously he seems to be a bit more submissive than he normally is, because, he wants to be in control and everything, but it just seems like Nicole brings out or brings down that submissiveness in him. Nicole is sensitive to Ewan's intensity. Ewan's Mars square Nicole's Saturn. Ewan tries to impress Nicole, not surprisingly so, we're seeing that again kind of. Nicole's standards are in conflict with Ewan's efforts. That's sad. Like, Nicole may try to control Ewan as she thinks Ewan is immature. Okay, that's a take. Not necessarily something to justify her more controlling tendencies though. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one. If you guys have any insight, hopefully I made sense, because I feel like I jumped a bit with like theories and everything. And even now I'm like, they could all be possibilities, but definitely let me know what you guys think about these two, if you guys are fans of them, have any more insight. And if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings weekly. And besides that, give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! And a shout out to my astrology enthusiasts, Monkey Girl and Sky Games Vlog Hawker. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you would also like a shout out and get early access to new videos, click the join button below to join the memberships. There are 2 tiers, the observers and enthusiasts. So thank you again, Monkey Girl and Sky Games Vlog Hawker, for supporting the channel.